All right. Welcome again to everyone who has joined the webinar today. As mentioned, my name is Sar. I'm going to be moderating the discussion today with our two panelists, Raj and Arvind. And I'm just going to hand it over to Arvind, who is going to introduce himself, and we're going to get started with the webinar. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And this should be about 50 minutes, including question and answer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Again, hello, everyone. Welcome to Interra Information Technology and AutonomIQ webinar. This session, this webinar, as you know, is about test automation for SaaS applications such as ServiceNow. Just to give you a timetable on how this is going to work out, we are going to spend a couple of minutes on the introduction, followed by about 15 minutes in the presentation, 15 for demo, and we will save the questions and answers for the towards the end of the presentation, and we'll allocate about 15 minutes for the Q&A. Just to let everybody know, we will send out a recording to all registrants. So if you are unable to attend the entire session, feel free to check our link that we will send out for the recording. And also feel free to submit questions in the chat box. We will answer them at the end of the presentation, as we've allocated about 15 minutes. Now, a quick introduction. Again, my name is Arvind Perumal. I'm Senior Director of Information Technology, and I have with me Raj Rao with AutonomIQ. And Raj, if you could say a few words.
Yeah, thanks, Arvind. Hi, this is Raj Rao. I'm the co-founder at, one of the co-founders at AutonomIQ, based right here in San Jose, California.
Thank you, Raj. And just a little background about Interra Information Technologies. We are a global IT services company based out of San Jose, California. We have offices all over the U.S. and a global presence as well. We basically provide services in 4 practice areas. We specialize in providing comprehensive testing solutions for testing, digital transformation, supply chain, and analytics as well. As you can see, we have been in the services market for the past almost 23 years. And we're also a ServiceNow partner. We're ISO 9001 certified in our offshore locations. And over the past 23 years, we have provided services to customers that include enterprise organizations as well as customers in the SMB market. Now, in what pertaining to the specific webinar, we just wanted to share a little bit about the testing capabilities. Interra Information Technologies has provided a comprehensive range of solutions in testing, as you can see from this slide, and we're specifically going to focus on the autonomous testing solution that we currently have. Over to you, Raj.
Thank you, Arvind. I hope you all can hear me, and also you're able to see my screen. Let us just take a look at some of the testing challenges that our ServiceNow customers have. When you think of an enterprise having ServiceNow as an application in their enterprise, typically they not only have one SaaS app like ServiceNow, they also happen to have Salesforce, Workday, Oracle Cloud Apps, SAP Hybris, and so on. So there is a whole bunch of apps, web apps, SaaS apps, cloud apps, whatever you want to call it. And they all exist for the single purpose that there is a critical end-to-end business process that this company has to, or this organization has to accomplish, and that cuts across multiple SaaS apps. So the first fundamental question that we get asked is there one test platform that I can leverage that can do this? I have many SaaS apps, and there is complex and frequent changes that are going on. Not only are the changes coming from the vendor themselves, we have also done some integrations and customization. And we, at the end of the day, our main goal is not to test what ServiceNow has already tested, but test the parts that are most critical to us, where we have done the customization, we have done the enhancements, and we need to make sure the end-to-end business process works. And this is a real challenge for customers who have ServiceNow and customers who have other cloud apps in a typical enterprise setting. When you look at challenges in a little bit more detail, right? How long, I mean, like the deployments keep coming. So think of it, imagine yourself in a situation where you have 5 or 6 of these, or even 3 or 4 of these cloud apps, SaaS apps that deliver to you from one of these big vendors. They're constantly deploying new code. They give a certain, preview date and then a GA date. GA is generally available when the code line is pushed to the next release, but the preview is given to you so that you can take a look at what is coming, upcoming, and then there is a date by which you have to comply. So imagine if you are a shop with multiple of these apps and you're constantly being bombarded with changes, right? So the amount of time it takes for you to adjust your test cases and test scripts to all the changes that are happening, and maybe in some cases you take new features, you don't take some new features, or you just do a technical upgrade with no additional features. You still are dealing with a significant amount of testing. You're still dealing with a significant amount of effort to create the test assets. When I say test assets, I'm talking about test case, test script, and test data, and the execution time, and so on. Also, customizations, your integrations are your responsibility. And that is not something ServiceNow will do anything about. So that that basically leads to the last point, which is end-to-end business process testing, which is making sure that there is no disruption to your critical business processes. When you look at this, I can summarize this simply in these 4 bubbles, right? Too much time in creating new test cases, and certainly automation. Writing test cases is one thing. Automating them is a different thing. That's number one. Second thing is, typically when you have all these SaaS apps, they're all done the testing is all done in silos, and often the end-to-end is not really considered, and nobody's really responsible for end-to-end testing. So that's one of the challenges. And that is something that means that you're opening yourself up for a risk in end-to-end scenarios. The other one that happens is, let us say ServiceNow or one of the SaaS apps upgraded, and because of the upgrade, all of the object locators in your automation scripts changed, or even if some of them changed, only 10% changed. You still have to go and find out the change and the change impact. What test scripts changed, and how do I go fix it and retest it to make sure that it's not broken. This aspect of maintaining test scripts is really painful. Imagine if you have thousands of test scripts, right? Then this problem is very, very, very tangible, very super painful. Finally, you need ServiceNow test experts, right? I mean, in other words, you need people who know and truly understand ServiceNow before you can start the automation and all those kinds of things. And that in itself is a challenge, simply because you may not have enough of those people. And also, they're not automation experts. So they can only assist you, explain to you what needs to be done, but somebody else has to do it. So you have to bring in a combination of automation experts and ServiceNow experts to really do the audit. You can replace ServiceNow for any other SaaS app, for that matter, and combination of those will have to do the work. So is there a way out of this mess, right? Our answer is yes, for sure. And we have built an AI-based platform, and together with InterraIT, Inter Information Technologies, we have launched a packaged, a bundled solution that can make a dramatic impact for ServiceNow customers. And let me just give you a brief introduction to AI. and how AI can help testing and make a big difference in software testing. When you think of AI is not one thing. AI consists of many different things. Okay. For example, the common things you hear about when you think about AI is things like natural language processing. Where we can write software that can comprehend English like a human. Machine learning, where it can start automatically classifying things and recognizing things. Today, in our test software, in our test platform, it can recognize, if you say, find an, do you see a human on the screen, a picture of a human or a car, or do you see a red dot? Those things are possible using our software, using AI. In our platform, we can specify things like that. You can just say, assert, you're seeing a man in front of a car, and it will assert those kinds of things. And what humans could do before with their eyes, now machines can do it. So that is a way of how AI can make a difference in terms of testing. So natural language processing, machine learning, and a whole bunch of things. Vision, that's one of the things I talked about. Speech, all the way to robotics. So there are many different branches of AI that is involved. The one that we are leveraging heavily is machine learning, NLP, and vision. These are the three things we are leveraging today in our solution. And here I just wrote just a couple of items that would be of interest to you, which is specifically, I just presented AI technologies. Now, after those technologies, how does it specifically help us understand and leverage or improve testing using the techniques I just talked about? So, a couple of ideas here. We can definitely leverage the AI capability to comprehend human intent. So let us say a test analyst wrote a test case in English, right? We can read that as if you're a human, the machine is a human, and can interpret it and clearly understand the intent, and then generate the test scripts from it. I'm going to demonstrate that. Also, the ability to create new test cases, the ability to discover the application, the ability to do smart maintenance. Smart maintenance is something I'm going to demonstrate as well, which is automatically healing test cases for brittle scripts, and then automatically healing when there is a business logic change. These are the capabilities. These are the needs that AI can fulfill, and that's what our platform is all about. So, if you look at how our platform is structured, this is the autonomic platform that I'm talking about. So we recognize that in a typical enterprise, they have all a portfolio of applications, anything from Microsoft Dynamics, Workday, Salesforce, ServiceNow, all the way to SAP and Oracle and even IBM mainframe. You need to be able to address testing needs across the board, number one. Number two, they will also have, with the DevOps adoption, companies already have a bunch of CI/CD tools, like Jira, for example, Jenkins. We have native integrations to those. There is also not one type of tester anymore. There are multiple types of testers. There are testers who are just test analysts. There are testers who are developers who are like SDET. We call them SDET, which are basically automation experts. And then you have business analysts. All three roles are supported in our platform. So today we can take any SaaS app, any web app, or any API or microservice, and automatically handle those test cases for those. We also look at testing in 3 phases. There is a planning aspect, there is an execution aspect, and there is analysis. So plan, execute, analysis, or analyze. So in plan, this is where you create the test case, the test script, and the test data. And wouldn't it be nice if you can automatically generate those? And that's something I'm going to demonstrate. Execution also is a very painful process, because if you have hundreds of scripts to execute, it will take a lot of time. But it won't take a lot of time if you can execute them in a concurrent fashion. And that's what we do. We can do out-of-the-box cross-platform, cross-browser, and concurrent execution. So if your regression today is taking you 6 hours, we can probably do that in 10 minutes. Analysis is another big area where first we need to understand beyond basic reporting and dashboard and those kinds of things. There is much bigger opportunity to help out users and testers. First, understanding change. If the application has changed, how do we deal with it? Application change could mean multiple things. Test cases are impacted, both in terms of just the object locators have changed, or test cases are impacted because there's a business logic change. And how do you deal with that? And how do you minimize the effort required to deal with this type of change? So this is something also I'm going to demonstrate. Just to summarize, these are the core platform capabilities. We help you accelerate your test case creation. Every test case we help create is actually automatically generates the English test case and does the data-driven testing. And that means the data is separated out in a file, so in a separate file. So that means that you bring the test case and the test data together at runtime. We automatically generate test scripts for every test case in English. We continuously execute that with no, by the way, everything I'm talking about requires very little to no human intervention. Test script generation requires no human intervention, okay? Meaning you just give us the test case, we automatically generate the test script for you in Selenium. And we can do it multiple flavors of Selenium, Java Selenium, C# Selenium, Ruby, and so on. Also, the execution. We automatically bring up the nodes for execution, execute them in a cross-browser, cross-OS fashion, and shut down those nodes. All these 3 things are about creation or execution. But one of the biggest pain is in maintenance, which we also do. We have something called smart maintenance, which essentially does the following. If you look at this picture here, creation of new test scripts can take 5 to 10 hours, 12 hours, and so on, depending on the size of them. Object changes when there is a change in the object, and that leads directly to brittle scripts, which means the object locators have changed. And that means a tester has to go figure out all the test cases where the changes happen. These are hours upon hours of effort. It requires no time in our solution because we automatically heal the scripts and with no human effort required. And what that means in terms of test case creation, what would take hours, we do it in minutes. Actually, I'm going to demonstrate that to you right now on ServiceNow. And then if there is a business logic change, a business logic change typically means that somebody went in and changed the object attribute, object label, those kinds of things. We can adjust to that within minutes. What would take hours can be done in minutes. And we're going to demonstrate that as well. So these are the 3 major areas that are basically the biggest time-consuming activities that we bring from hours or days to minutes, and that is the ROI. With that, let me jump right into the demo of the product, and then we can answer questions. So if you look at this, I've already logged into our application. When everybody logs in, there is a dashboard, and the dashboard has lots of reporting, some meaningful things. You can look at it and based on a timeline, what has happened in the last 3 days and so on. So you get some of that stuff. You get all the project level details, how many passed, failed, those kinds of things. And also you can get some more depth about projects, recent executions and so on. Okay, but most of the time people spend their time in creating new projects and are working on existing projects. Everybody gets a project workspace, and here's the project workspace. And I've already gone ahead and created a project called Webinar. And in Webinar, the default application under test is ServiceNow, as you can see there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and upload an existing test case. I already have a test case that is in my test repository. I'm looking for my test repository right now. And here's the ServiceNow test repository. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this particular test case, and I'm going to show you the details of that in a second. So I've uploaded that. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the test data, which is for data-driven testing. It's the best industry best practice. So we have actually created a test data file, which has associated data there. And as part of this test, I also have to upload a documentation that is part of the test. In other words, as the test executes, as part of the test execution, it has to upload a file. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this zip file that will be used for that purpose. The moment I hit submit, our autonomous testing platform takes over. And as you can see here, it is already trying to process the application and sorry, the test case, and then it automatically starts. You can see this here. It's automatic. Here were the original test steps, which basically defined what the intent was. The intent was going to this particular ServiceNow instance and enter the username, password, and click on login. And then they wanted to save the user ID as to who signed it. And then they wanted to create a new incident. And as part of creating a new incident, they had to put in today's date, whatever today's date is, right? I could have put a hard-coded date, but then it wouldn't be today's date. So that's why we had to, write it in this fashion. And then, as part of this, you also have to upload a file as part of the test. So our application is able to do, understand and process all those things. As you can see here, every step as it goes through, it is capturing what it is doing. For example, enter username, and you can see here, it has highlighted the box where its username is being entered. And same thing with password. As you can see here, the password is being entered, and so on. So, and then login. The next step is login. And then we go into ServiceNow. See here, every step, this is for help debugging for debugging purposes. We do this. So every step is captured, and all the details are in there. Plus, it will produce a report and all that stuff. In the interest of time, what I've done is I just ran this test just a little while ago. So here you can see the entire test, being executed. And as part of this, you see here it went through all those test steps, and then captured the screenshots. And now what it can do is it can also show us actually the code where the code, which is basically, I can show you here, script. The script that got generated which was fully generated automatically by the platform, as you can see here, right? It's about almost 1,100 almost 1,200 lines long, and you can see here where we comment everything, open website, and this was the particular website it entered. It opened, and then enter the username, enter the password. So it is given you all the details of what it is doing. So you can see the evidence in code, and then I also want to go see a detailed report. So exactly what it did do. This is what we call evidence of execution, and the evidence of execution is in this report here. So if you pull this up, you can see all the steps, test steps, the time when it got executed, and the screenshots. You can see every screenshot within a ServiceNow, as you can see here. You can expand it, and then you can close it. So whatever action, enter closed. See, enter closed, today I was supposed to enter today's date, meaning whatever that day, the day of execution, that date, and you can see here, it picked the right date and the time format. So it's a very flexible, powerful platform that can automatically capture the ability to automatically capture all of the details it is executing, but do it in a way where it does not take away, it does not ask a lot of human effort, right? All that automation script was created by the machine, and 1,100 lines of code was generated within 2 minutes, whereas a human being would have taken, significantly more time, at least a day, if not more, to create something like that. So that is the nutshell of what it can do. Just all you have to do is upload a test case, an existing test case, which is in English, and we take that and we execute that. Let me also show you a couple of things. So we have a very powerful execution platform where you can select any platform, any browser, and execute it concurrently. And you can see here, for this instance, we have created Linux and Windows environments, and then we have Chrome and Firefox, but only one version of each, because this is an environment that is not for customer use. It's for demo purposes. For a real demo or a real customer environment, we can have 400 instances like this, and we can bring them all up in an instant, and then execute them all in the cloud, and then release the nodes. So that's how quick and easy it is. So I've shown you the plan, which is how we create the test scripts and so on. Execution, which is using these multiple platforms, and analysis. Analysis, I've shown you the detailed reports, but now let us go take a look at what we call smart maintenance. And, oh, by the way, in a few minutes, this test case, whatever is uploaded will be complete. And then it is already complete, as you can see here. This is successfully done. And now we can actually, let me show you this. So this was successfully completed. As you can see here, and a new code will be generated and so on, which is basically the same thing I just showed you. Now, what we can do is show you how. So I showed you how test assets are created with a very little human intervention, a very little human effort. Now let us go take a look at how test assets are maintained. So to do that, I'm going to take you to a place where I've stored this smart maintenance video. And the reason why I make it into a video is simply because this involves orchestration across Git, Jenkins, and so many other tools. So to make it easier, instead of logging into all those tools and doing all these things, I've just recorded a video, and a video is much easier to show you. So imagine we have a loan application. Okay, there is a loan application called loan.autonomic.ai. This loan app, it's a web app, no, it's a cloud app, hosted in the cloud. Loan app, the developer made a mistake, and they should have labeled, one of the labels should have been first name, and they did not call it first name. They called it that's fine. And the tester created a matching test case. That's what you're seeing here on the screen. And this is, this is a problem, because the developer realizes that I got to go fix the label, and they go fix the label. And as soon as they go try to fix the label, there is a difference between the test assets that are targeting the old label, but the label has changed. Now, imagine in a company, a typical company, something like this were to happen. This could impact hundreds of test cases that a human being has to go figure out which ones they are, manually find each one of them, fix them, generate the new code or create the new code by hand, and retest them. All of that is eliminated using this approach. So first, we look at, this is one test case. There are multiple test cases with the same problem, with a label change. And now we're going to go into the code. Before we go into the code, this is the application. In this application, you can see the label is that's fine. It should be first name. And we're going to go into the code and make the change now. Okay, here we are in the code. We're making the change to first name. And then we're going to go ahead and commit that into Git. Git is our code repository. We do the commit, and then we are pushing this. And in a second, I will show you the app, and the app looks different because the label has changed. And here is the app coming up. Okay, you see the label has changed into first name. Now, all the test cases we have, the old test cases, none of them will work. So what happens is we will find that out very soon, because we're going to go into Jenkins. We are in Jenkins right now, and we are creating a new build, and we are pushing this into a new environment where it is ready to be tested. Jenkins also has a trigger, and the trigger calls us. The API, there is an API call, calls our application, our platform, Autonomic Platform, and Autonomic Platform automatically tests the current test against the new app, and obviously it fails. When it fails, you see here, it is failing at that step because the label has changed, right? So we will see we will see the detail in a second. So the label has changed, and the tests are automatically run, and they fail. So now we go into smart maintenance, and smart maintenance has already picked up all the test cases with the same problem. Now it will actually display, it says label has been changed from that's fine, that was the old label, to the new label, first name. So it is first informing you, and then what will happen is it will show you, identify all the test cases with the same problem, right? And list them all up. And then it gives you an instant access or instant way to fix it. It says, do you want to make this change? If you want to make this change, approve. If you approve it, it will automatically change it, automatically update the test cases, and automatically execute them with the new scripts. And in this case, they're all successful, because you see it has automatically changed the test case into the old label to the new label. This is how we heal business logic change. And anytime there is a label change, We will automatically identify the change, automatically fix it. So no human effort is invested in this. And the only human effort required is to approve that, yes, we accept the change. And then the change is automatically done and the execution happens. So in a nutshell, what I've shown you is I started out with the English test case for ServiceNow, automatically generated the test script, automatically executed it, automatically generated evidence of execution, and then when it came to maintenance phase of the test script, we automatically maintain the test script with no human intervention except for approving that, yeah, I recognize the change and the change is good, let's go ahead with it. In a nutshell, that's how AI can transform testing. So with this, I hope you have enough, I've shared with you enough information for you to start thinking about solutions like the InterraIT autonomic solution in a new light. Because when applied properly, this can save a lot of time and effort and pretty much guarantee a much higher level quality of your product, and not just for ServiceNow, but for end-to-end in a typical enterprise. With that, we can go to Q&A.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Raj. So we will open up the floor here for some questions. You're able to hit the Q&A button just in the webinar format here and propose any questions for us. So we'll just give it 1 or 2 minutes for some questions to come in here. Thank you.
So earlier we had received a couple of questions from in an email. So one of the question is, how is this product delivered? So the answer is we deliver both as a cloud solution. Also, for those customers who are interested, it can be on-premise as well. The other question was, what type of applications does this work with? So today, we know it works with all the SaaS applications. When I say SaaS, I'm specifically referring to things like ServiceNow, Salesforce, Workday, NetSuite, Oracle Cloud Apps, any of these type of apps, it works beautifully well. Any web apps, any digital apps you have, works very well. Any APIs, API testing that you need to do, we do API testing very well, and so on. So even mobile web applications, like there are a lot of customers who have M.dot websites that needs to be tested on different browsers and different OS. We do those things for all of those customers, all of those types of applications.
Thank you. And a question came in here, and it is, when can live demos be set up with organizations? How
we
does
can do that? Yeah, we can do that immediately. So typically what happens is at the end of the webinar, there is a whole bunch of several participants will reach out they can reach out to Arvind. Let me just actually share with you our email IDs. So here are the email addresses you can see on the screen, and you can share, you can reach out to us, and we can set up follow-up meetings. Typically, what we do is within few days of the webinar, we will start setting up meetings, and we can do one-on-one to address specific needs of each organization.
And another question was, does this tool require any in-house expertise that they should be aware of?
No. This tool, that is the beauty of InterraIT and Inter Information Technologies and Autonomic bundling this solution together. So this will be delivered as a solution to customers. So that way, they don't have to have really any expertise. They just need to show us what the requirements are, and from there we can deliver the entire solution.
Okay. Well, I think that's it for questions right now. I don't see any more coming in here. And Raj and Arvind, any other closing thoughts here on your end?
No, nothing specific from my end. Obviously, you have the contact information up on the screen, so feel free to reach out to us. We will be sending out the recorded session invite to all the registrants. Yeah, so if there's anything that you have in mind, please reach out to us directly, and we can answer those questions for you.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Arvind. Raj, are you good?
Yes, be good. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for making it to this webinar. We appreciate you and honor you for your time. We look forward to being in touch, and thank you for considering Autonomic and Information Technologies as part of your solution provider here. Awesome, and have a great weekend. Great week.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.